morning. It's 9 a.m. and I'd like to call to order the May 17th, 2022 City Council meeting. Please call the roll.
Garza,
Here.
Fast, Bagwell, Richardson,
Here.
Pyros de Carvalho.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This morning's prayer will be given by Betty Pinkston. Thank you, Betty.
I looked at the agenda, Lord, I see a lot of things, Lord, that the council, these people in control here have to do. And Lord, I just pray that you'll bless them and keep them, Lord. Help them to make the decisions that are right for our community. And Lord, just bless each and every one of them. Lord, keep your hand upon the citizens. Lord, keep your hand upon our first responders. And just keep your hand upon Hutchinson, Lord. We're so thankful for your blessings. And we say all of this and give all honor to, in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item 4A, a proclamation for National Public Works Week.
Okay. Thanks for coming this morning. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Hutchinson, Kansas. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Hutchinson, Kansas to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public work programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, now therefore, I, Jade Pyros de Carvalho, Mayor of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15 through 21, 2022 as a National Public Works Week. And I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public work professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you. Hello, my name is Ryan Lynn. I work for the street department here at the City of Hutch. Brian asked me to say a few words about some of the different things that we do. One of the things the street department does is assist in emergency response. So I've had a chance in the last several years to be a part of that. I was going to just touch on a few of those experiences I've had. So it's not too often you get to fight fire and fight fire one day and then the very next day go and fight snow. So that was an experience I had a few months back in Hutchinson. The last 6 months we've assisted with winter weather, treating the streets in Hutchinson, wind events, brush fires, and other storm events. We respond for fire department and police department if they need barricades, things like that. They utilize our heavy equipment when needed. So it's great to be a part of that. Back in December, we had a wind event hit Hutchinson that had, I think, 80-mile-per-hour winds. And it took out power lines all over town. We had to set barricades at over a half a dozen locations. And when I first responded to that, one of the things that I saw that was pretty amazing was pulling up to 17th and K61. The traffic signal there, the mast arm had actually twisted about 45 degrees. And southbound was actually seeing green and red indication at the exact same time. So that was a pretty interesting sight. Something else that we do, obviously I've already said, is fire department. We help them with brush fires. So I was a part of the Cottonwood Complex fire. I was dispatched to clear trees in the street to let the fire crews and Evergy crews pass so they can do their work. So when I get out there, it's kind of a different sight. You see burning buildings, you see fires out in the fields and the brush, and just disaster everywhere. And then whenever I got to my dispatch location at 4th and Woodbury, there were some trees that I needed to clear so the fire crews could pass. So I did that, and then parked the loader in a safe location and asked the Evergy crews there if I could assist them with anything. And while I was talking to them, about a 50-foot cottonwood fell down about 150 feet in front of us. And just things like that are kind of different experiences that we get to be a part of.
Get to be a part of. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I love your love your positive attitude, Ryan.
It's definitely a different part of our job. I think
Yeah.
it's something the public doesn't see as much
Yeah.
because they think a street department employee, we fix the street, we fix potholes, and that's kind of outside the realm of our normal day-to-day work. But it's something that we are always on the call for. One other thing I was a part of recently was the Andover tornado cleanup. So Andover requested that the city of Hutchinson bring a few dump trucks to help them. They had a bunch of municipalities that had to help because they couldn't handle the work all themselves. So we took 2 trucks, and I was up there for 2 days. And when we got there, it's kind of a different sight because you pull up there by the YMCA, and all you see is about a block long of just trees and debris that's been mangled up and in the street and on the side of the street. And then you pull into the subdivision, and there's just house after house that's just completely destroyed. They're down to the foundation or the basement, and then there's debris everywhere all over the street. And it's just a different sight. It's kind of interesting to be a part of that. And one thing that I saw that was interesting was there was a street marker sign that there was a pole and there was no sign left at the top, but somebody had taped a piece of cardboard and they marked their street on it in Sharpie, and then underneath that Sharpie it said, "Thank you, everyone." And that kind of hits you, and it's like, I'm glad to be a part of that. It's a good feeling to help our fire department, police department, and help the community and other communities. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for everything you do. Such a critical component of, like the proclamation said, public health and quality of life. And I'm sure, regionally everyone is really grateful for our Hutchinson department as well. So
Yep.
thank you very much.
Sir, sir, right here.
Yes.
I just want to let you know that you're an asset. You guys are the biggest asset of our city, okay? And we are proud of all the city employees that we have, okay? And I want you to remember that we thank you guys every day. Our city couldn't run without you. One day, all of our departments would not come to work. We in big trouble. All right. So make sure you let them all know that we're proud of them and we're thankful for you guys and what you do every day. Because at 1 minute you can get called out.
Right.
But 1 minute you could be working 30 hours. So just tell them that we're proud of them and we're thankful. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Before we call public comment, we do have a special presentation due to the alarming increase in overdose deaths here in our community. And this is not unique to Hutchinson. It's actually happening statewide and nationwide. But we have asked Seth Dewey, the substance misuse health educator at the Reno County Health Department and director of Reno Recovery Collaborative, to visit with us about the health department's community response to this tragedy.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for letting me be here today. I want to thank the council and, of course, everyone who's in attendance to hear this. Before we get started, I just want to let everyone know that we do have other leadership from the Reno County Health Department and members of our steering committee, which you'll hear a little bit more about. So as the mayor mentioned, this is not just an issue that's happening here. It's happening everywhere. This is all over the news right now. And so we're going to go on a little bit on what we're seeing, but a little bit more of what we're doing about it as well. And hopefully in the process of us talking about that, we'll get a little bit more of a vision for where we want to be. So there's a saying that I like that I heard in one of our classes. It says that the data tells, but the stories sell. So we're going to start off with some data, and then we're going to get into some stories. So right now, everyone's probably heard the national statistics of 107,000 Americans dying of overdose in a 12-month period. So that's over 260 a day. 260 people are dying a day. And then we might think, well, that's a big city issue. That's a coastal issue. Well, unfortunately, according to the state's unintentional overdose death reporting system, or SUDERS, just in a 6-month period of January through June of this year, or 2021, we had 388 overdose fatalities. What that represents is a 54% increase in overdose fatalities in the state of Kansas in accord to that same time frame the previous year. We're third in the nation for increase of overdose deaths in Kansas. And well, then we might say, well, that's Kansas. Well, one of the things we've been doing here in Reno County for the last 18 months is using a real-time tracking mechanism to track our overdoses as they occur in our community. And this is what we're seeing. This is a public dashboard that can be accessed on the Reno County website. And from October 1st to now, we've had 501 overdoses and 41 fatalities, unfortunately. Now, we might think this is terrible, and it is. But what we're doing here is, if you notice the comparison of the data compared to the CDC's numbers for national and the state's numbers, those are all 6 months back to a year. This is immediate. This gives us in Reno County an opportunity to act immediately on what we're seeing, including the substances. I would encourage you all to please check this out, because you can't see all the good details right here that are very important for us to all consider, including the fact that the number one cause of overdose in Reno County is still alcohol, right? Followed closely behind by methamphetamine, and then prescription drugs and heroin. There's a lot of different factors that go into this, presenting an adaptive challenge for us as a community, county and city, to face together, not apart, but together. Now we get into a little bit of the why. And everyone knows, everyone's been hearing about it on the news, and that, of course, is one of the main contributing factors. Is not just the fentanyl. First of all, let's back up. We have substance use disorder, which is a chronic yet treatable brain disease, a brain illness that can be treated. And 20 million Americans have been diagnosed with that, and 53 million Americans have admitted to using an illicit substance at least once in the last year. And then, of course, the fentanyl, which you can see, according to this illustration on the top, that's how much fentanyl could be potentially fatal, next to that penny right there. And then you also have those pills right there. It's kind of hard to tell which one is real and which one is fake, but sure enough, that's what's going on. You have pressed pills that are made to look like other ones that are actually containing fentanyl. So individuals that are seeking out these pills or a substance, they're not just overdosing, they're being poisoned. These are poisonings. So this paints kind of a bleak picture when we look at the data, when we look at the numbers, and we look at why. But we also know that here in Reno County, there's been a story over the last 7 to 8 years of what's been going on. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that and give you a little bit of a brief history lesson. So in 2015, the mayor here and several others, including Megan and some of those, were part of forming what was called back then the Drug Impact Task Force, all the way back then. And they formed this with community stakeholders and partners throughout our community and brought them together to try to start looking for ways or solutions to address this. As with most things, if you've ever been involved in coalition work or community work, sometimes it goes really strong for a while and then it slows down. And sometimes that happens, and in this case it did for a while. In 2020, the Reno County Health Department hired someone, a dedicated staff individual, just for this issue, and that's me. And that's where I'm going to introduce myself in a little bit of a different light. My name is my name's Seth Dewey, and I'm also a person in long-term recovery. And what that looks like for me is I haven't used a mind-altering substance since July 23rd of 2017. Now, this added something different, right? So now you have a dedicated person to focus on the issues with all these community partners, but also someone who's lived through it. And that adds a different perspective. So in 2020, we also renamed the Drug Impact Task Force the Reno Recovery Collaborative. We wanted it to be more welcoming and wanted it to sound exactly for what it is, a collaboration of community partners and stakeholders alike. We broke it down into three priority areas. Education and prevention is one of them, and we actually have the chairperson of that committee here, and that's Denise over there. And their new priority statement or purpose statement that we're working on right now is this one right up here. Develop innovative approaches to raise awareness, educate, and prevent negative consequences associated with substance use and misuse. Some of the things that they've worked on, and you might have come to some of these events, is those anti-stigma campaigns. You might have been at a workplace where your HR department had a employer presentation about substances in the workplace that we've done. And there have also been several other media campaigns. In that particular area, that's some of the things that's been done. Then we also have treatment and healthcare. And that purpose statement is to promote best practices and innovative strategies among providers to decrease substance misuse and increase accessibility of services to individuals seeking treatment. I remember back in 2015 hearing about it, that's one of the goals that the mayor and some of the others had. They wanted to see a detox facility here. They wanted a treatment facility here. Well, last year, we got one here in Reno County. And that's part of people sticking to their goals and the desires and the needs of the community. Some of the other things that they've been working on is reducing the opioid prescription rates, which back in 2017, we had 117 opioid prescriptions per 100 people in Reno County. That's a lot. That's way above national and state averages. Now, we're down to 68.9, which is way better, but it's still above the state and national average. So we still have work to do. Like we talked about, creating more treatment options, increased assistance for those in crisis, which we all know Chief Hooper in the police department has the awesome crisis response team. And then we also have the recovery response team in partnership with Horizons. Then we have the new subcommittee, the new work group, which is recovery and recovery supports. And that's increasing understanding of substance use disorder, access to and variety of support services to individuals using drugs, individuals in recovery, and family members. And that's where we get into promoting all paths to recovery, to develop non-traditional support groups outside of the ones that we're very familiar with, that might be open to others of different religious beliefs, other backgrounds, racial backgrounds as well, that might not be as welcomed in other groups, and to communicate available support to the community. This is also where we get into this one and the previous one about medically assisted treatment and things like that as well, which back in 2017, we had no providers for medically assisted treatment. And now we have 2, and we're continually expanding those. This doesn't even touch on some of the other harm reduction efforts that we've been working on, including all the naloxone distributions, our law enforcement partners carrying naloxone and being trained in administration of that to save someone in the event of an opioid overdose. And then, of course, we have the backbone organization, which is the Reno County Health Department. And what we do is we serve as the sustainable facilitating agency connecting the work groups to the current strategic plan, which right now we're redoing our strategic plan. And some of the current funding is through the state, KDHE with Overdose Data to Action Grant, and then the Rural Response to the Opioid Epidemic Grant, which is also through the federal government, Bureau of Justice Assistance, and DOJ. For the future, though, we want to continue this funding. We want to see more money coming in to our community to give us resources to continually adapt and find, if you noticed, every one of those purpose statements had innovative strategies. That's the reason we're collecting this data in real time, so that we can see what's happening in our community immediately and then have the empowerment to do something about it. So the vision and mission of the Reno Recovery Collaborative is to provide, first of all, the vision is to provide resources and leadership to fight substance misuse with opportunity, visionary prevention, and compassionate community recovery. And the mission is to reduce and prevent substance misuse to improve Reno County's quality of life for all through access to resources for prevention, treatment, and recovery support. So yes, right now it looks bleak, nationally, statewide, and even here. But there's things that we're doing about it, and the way that we can continue to find these innovative approaches is to have more people like you guys as part of that collaborative, to let us know your input and your opinion and what we could be doing better. So that's about all that I had in the presentation. I'd like to open it up for any questions or comments from any one of our members of the steering committee or our health department leadership as well.
Seth, I really appreciate all the work you've done. It's really been incredible to see just the change in data collection and analysis so that you could tell this story. I'm curious how you feel the city can partner even more strongly. I know Chief Hooper's been a great partner. I think he may sit on the steering committee.
He sits on several committees, and he's a main part of our collaborative, yes.
Well, anything you think we can do, I'm interested in hearing that. The other thing I had a question about is I know at the state there was a roadblock to decriminalize fentanyl test strips. Is there anything we can do from a local policy standpoint to address that, or is that strictly a state legislative issue?
We're doing some research on that. I know with some of our partners and our friends that are in state politics to see if there's anything more we could examine. But currently, it does throw a huge roadblock when the research does show that 50 to 60% of individuals, when given the opportunity to use a fentanyl test strip, have altered their using habits because of a $1 strip. Mm-hmm. And if we think about that in terms of Kansas, that's 388 individuals that we lost their lives in a 6-month period. And so if we base that strictly off of what the data shows, if those individuals would have been given that chance to potentially alter their using habit, we can do the math and we can figure out how many of those individuals would be here with us still.
Yeah, I have not looked into that further, but I'm really interested in if we could do anything about that locally. I know we lost a teenager last month to this, and I don't know if that would have changed his decision to take that pill, but.
And I think that's where it comes into all of us have that opportunity. If that were to become an option for us, we would all be able to sit down and have these kind of conversations on, oh, but there's also these resources. There's also this available. It's not just giving the individual a test strip and say, have a good day.
Yeah.
No, it's education on how dangerous it is right now and empowering them with information and education that could change their life based on their goals and their wants and their needs.
Yeah.
And Madam Mayor, Seth and I have talked about this quite a bit. We meet on a fairly regular basis. In fact, he was in my office just the other day, and we were talking about that very piece. And our practice at the Hutchinson Police Department is we understand the value in those fentanyl test strips, and we haven't charged anybody for that particular crime. And I also think that it's important to know that fentanyl test strips in and of themselves are not illegal. You can have them. It's kind of like you can have a syringe, but a syringe full of heroin is illegal. And so it's not our intent at the Hutchinson Police Department, even if we find somebody with fentanyl chest strips in conjunction with narcotics, that we would charge them for that offense. That's just our common practice here because we find value in that. We'd rather them have them and use them and take the chance of saving their life as opposed to being afraid that the police department is going to charge them or arrest them for that offense.
Oh, okay. That's an important clarification. So the illegality comes with being paired with the illegal substance.
That's correct.
So,
That's
okay.
correct.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that important piece of information with everyone.
Are there other questions from the council or anyone in the audience?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I look
Thank you.
forward to hearing how we can continue to partner with the county on this. Really appreciate your work. Thank you. Okay, next item, please.
Item 5B, oral communications from the audience.
Okay, this is the part of the meeting where those in the audience can address the council on matters concerning city council that are not on the agenda. We ask that you approach the podium, state your name and zip code, and limit your comments to 5 minutes, please.
Mayor, City Council, Tony Finley, Hutchinson Recreation Commission. Just wanted to give you an update on the opening of Salt City Splash for the season. At this time, we are still scheduled to open on Saturday, May 28th. That's Saturday of Memorial Day. But there's a few qualifiers to that. As with last year, we are struggling with hiring lifeguards. Right now, we have 17 hired. 5 are pending completion of the certification process through the YMCA here locally. They're in those classes this week and next week. So if those pass, we do have enough to open the 28th. If not, we might not open. We'll also be looking at a reduced schedule. If we cannot get to, I think in my mind, the magic number is about 27. Would love to have 30 guards to make it through the summer. We might be looking at a 5-day-a-week season. That would be Wednesday through Sunday. So we would be closed Monday, Tuesday for general swim. Monday and Tuesday we would still hold swim team, swim lessons, those types of activities. We just don't need as many guards for those things in the mornings. But to be staffed up, we need to be further along than we are.
Remind me the ages that can apply.
15, but 16 is usually, there's some qualifiers with a 15-year-old as far as where they can be placed in the rotation. But a 15-year-old can lifeguard, but definitely 16 and up are there. We do provide incentives. The starting pay doesn't sound like a lot when you compare it to other industries, but competitive for local pools, we're at $10 starting for an hour. If you're with us on July 1st, it's a $100 bonus. If you're with us again on August 1st, another $100 bonus. And if you complete the season, we will reimburse your certification cost. So we have some incentives out there. We knew this was going to be a challenge based on last year, so we started marketing early. We worked with the YMCA to make sure they had plenty of lifeguarding classes, and they've done that. We just don't have a lot of kids wanting to be a lifeguard. So happy to answer any questions about that.
Well, it seems like kind of the ideal summer job for a teen, but everybody has different priorities, I guess.
Yeah, unfortunately, the sports, school sports obligations anymore take a lot of kids that would normally want to do lifeguarding kind of out of that. We had one individual apply. We're open about 85 days. They needed 40 off. So that's what hurts us is those. There's just not a lot of availability. Just on the maintenance side, though, it's the pools. The big 50-meter pool is full. They're filling the other pools yesterday and today. The fresh painting's been done. So things are moving along facility-wise fine. We just need a few more lifeguards to make this happen.
Need about 10 more?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 10 would
Okay.
be. We have 5 in the queue, so to speak, so if they complete that, we can open. But there's no margin for error, so if we lose 1 or 2 of those throughout the season, then we would have to go back to that
5-day a week.
5-day-a-week schedule. So,
Okay.
yeah, it'd be nice to have a few more.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, Tony. I'm sure you'll get your Speedo ready, John.
No, it's at the cleaner.
Okay. All right. Are there others in the audience who would like to address the council? Okay. Hearing none, please call the next item.
Item 6, consent agenda.
Is there a motion or conversation on the consent agenda?
I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Garza.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Iris de Carvalho.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 7A, consider ordinance authorizing bond sales.
Angela Richard, Director of Finance. Thank you. On April 19th, 2022, the City Council adopted a resolution allowing us to issue general obligation bonds. The bonds we are issuing are for the following projects: the airport parking lots, 11th Avenue Bridge, Fire Station Number 1, 11th Avenue Street, Farmington Park, the Golf Course Master Plan, Golf and Fun Valley parking lots, and the police parking lots, for a total of $2,250,000. We opened the bid yesterday. We had 4 bidders, which was good. It showed that we had interest. The lowest interest rate was with Robert W. Beard for 3.89%. The highest was 4.26%. So as you can see, interest rates are on the rise. The last time we issued bonds, it was under 2%. So today we would like you to approve the ordinance allowing us to authorize the issuance and delivery of $9,810,000 of general obligation improvement bonds. The difference is the premium that they provide to us. So with the premium, we'll get to that $10,250,000 that we need. Are there any questions? I do have Tyler Ellsworth from Kutak Rock Firm Legal Counsel, and then Dustin Avery should be on the line with Piper Sandler, our bond counsel.
Okay, are there questions for Angela?
No.
I know these are all things we've discussed many, many times in the past, but questions? No? Is there a motion?
Well, I motion to accept and to authorize the mayor to sign that $9,810,000 principal bond obligation bonds for 2022. And I might add, I love to read. You know that.
Yeah.
I need to say any more other than that?
You're good, Steve.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Right.
I'll second that.
They're having to handle all the motions in seconds today. So. Okay, further discussion? Okay. Please call the roll.
Garza.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Iris de Carvalho.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 7B, consider resolution authorizing bond sales.
The next step in this process is to approve the resolution which prescribes the form and details and authorize the delivery of the principal amount. This is just the next formal step in accepting the bid. So
Okay.
we recommend that you approve.
I'd go ahead and make the motion to approve a resolution prescribing the form and details and authorizing the delivery of $9,810,000 principal amount of general obligation bonds, Series 2022A of the City of Hutchinson, Kansas, previously authorized by an ordinance of the city and authorized the mayor to sign.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none, please call the roll.
Garza,
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Tyra State Carvalho.
Yes. Thank you, Angela and
Thank
Kutak
you.
Rock and everyone who came for that 2 or 3 minutes of discussion. Okay, next item, please.
Item 7C, consider resolution approving a special event in a designated entertainment district for June's third Thursday event.
Paul Brown, City Attorney. Council, you have before you a proposed resolution. These are for special events when there's alcohol consumption on public property and it includes a street. We have to pass a resolution pursuant to state statute. This one is for June 16th. It is the Hutchinson Recreation Commission's third Thursday event. And if you look at the map behind the resolution, you'll see it's primarily a section of Main Street in yellow, multiple events there with food trucks and some alcohol consumption, but to do it in the streets, you need a special resolution. So we would ask the council to approve that resolution to allow the event.
Okay. Looks like we have about 3 of these coming up, so is there a motion on this item or discussion?
Yes, I motion to approve the resolution authorizing June 3rd Thursday event, June 16th, 2022 as a special event pursuit of the city code section 18-801 and authorize the mayor to sign.
And I will second that.
Okay, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Garza,
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Tyra State Carvalho.
Yes, next item, please.
Item 7D, consider resolution approving a special event in a designated entertainment district for the Fox Theater Birthday Celebration Concert.
And this is similar. This is a June 3 event for the Fox Theater birthday celebration. And the diagram with that, it shows it's primarily right in front of the Fox. You can see where it talks about the covered stage, and their events will be right there. And again, since it's in the street, it requires a resolution approved by the city, and we would ask the council to do that.
Well, I would make the motion to approve a resolution authorizing the Fox Theater Birthday Celebration Concert event on June 3rd, 2022 as a special event pursuant to City Code Section 18801 and authorize the mayor to sign.
And I second that.
Okay, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Garza,
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Tyra State Carvalho.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 7E, consider a resolution approving a special event in a designated entertainment district for the Smallville Pub Crawl.
And this one for the Smallville Pub Crawl is on June 18th. It's not exactly on city property, but it's in a public parking lot, a non-public parking lot, a private parking lot, which also requires the city's permission. And you can see it there. It includes Polaris Park and the parking behind the DCI building that's on West 2nd. So we'd ask the council to approve that resolution.
You know, if people didn't know any better, they think we have a partying problem here.
I know. June is going to be lit.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. Is there a motion?
I motion to approve the resolution authorizing the Smallville Pub Crawl, June 18, 2022, as a special event pursuit of the City Code 18-801 and authorize the mayor to sign.
I will second that.
Okay, discussion? Please call the roll.
Garza,
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Tyra State Carvalho.
Yes, and before we get to item F, I think we want to move to item 8A under new business and consider interim service agreement for city manager.
Paul Brown, City Attorney. Council, we're presenting Gary Meager to you as a candidate for the interim city manager. There's a contract that has been submitted and included in the packet for that purpose. His resume has also been included within the packet, which shows that Gary Meager is not a stranger to many folks. Not everyone has met him, but most have, since he has served previously as the Reno County Administrator. But he also has experience as a city administrator in both McPherson and Lindsborg. And he further has a background in law enforcement. So he covers many bases in doing so. And we are fortunate that he is willing to assist the city at this time. The contract calls for an initial 2-month period with it renewable on a month-to-month basis. It would not continue beyond the hiring of a permanent city manager. His compensation is listed in the contract, the same as the previous city manager as far as compensation, except it doesn't include all those additional benefits. So I would urge the council to approve this contract.
Okay, is there a motion?
I will make the motion to approve the interim services agreement employing Gary Meager as an interim city manager for the city of Hutchinson and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second that.
Any discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Garza,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Tyros de Carvalho.
Yes. Okay, next item, please. You want to come on up, Gary?
Yeah.
No
Can I
time.
just say a couple of words?
Sure.
Thank you so much, Madam Mayor and council members. I'm honored to serve as the interim city manager. This community has such a great reputation statewide, and I think you see why. There was a small example this morning with the Public Works Department and the kind of good work that they do. And that's the kind of work that's being done every day across the departments. Under your direction and the direction of the city manager. So I want to thank you for that, being a member of the community. I also want to thank you for the privilege to be able to work for you and work with the city staff and the community leaders. When I got into this business, as Mr. Brown indicated, I started out in law enforcement, and I worked in law enforcement for about 16 years, and I moved to local government management. And one of the reasons that I stayed in that profession and really enjoyed my career was the fact that I could be a part of making the community better, working with the governing body, working with the staff, and working with community leaders to make improvements to the community. And so I really appreciate the opportunity. I've had a chance to kind of decompress, you might say, for a while. And I did work some during the time that I was retired. I served as an interim for Moundridge, City Moundridge, and worked for the county in administration of their grants. And so I do appreciate this opportunity to serve you and work with your staff. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Gary.
I was going to say, I think we appreciate it.
Yeah, we are thrilled to have somebody with your experience and reputation help us through this very important time. With that, I think we need to go back to the previous item to designate authorized officers.
Right. Hold on here. Item 7F, consider resolution designating authorized officers to conduct business with banking institutions.
Angela Richard, Director of Finance. The city manager has been authorized to conduct banking business on behalf of the city of Hutchinson. Usually they are a check signer. The attached resolution would remove the prior city manager and allow our interim city manager to sign checks and be on our banking accounts. Staff recommends approval of this resolution as provided.
Thank you. Are there any questions or a motion?
I would move to approve a resolution designating the authorized officers or employees to conduct business with authorized banking institutions and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second that.
Okay, any discussion?
It'd be awkward if we didn't approve it.
It would be.
Okay.
Please call the roll.
Garza,
Yes.
Richardson,
Yes.
Tyros de Carvalho.
Yes, next item, please.
Thank you.
Item
Thank you.
8B, consider 2022-2023 Emergency Solutions Grant Application on behalf of Bright House, Inc.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Ryan Vietlick, Director of Planning and Development with the city. Before you this morning is what you see on an annual basis. This is an authorization to submit the 2022-2023 Emergency Solutions Grant application on behalf of Bright House. This would be in the amount of $40,855. A little bit of background. Since 1994, the city has participated in several grant programs helping the homeless and those threatened by homelessness in our community. These programs are offered by the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. Through these grants, we serve as the grant administrator, and we ferry those funds out to sub-recipients who are actually performing the hard work on the ground. One of these grants is the Emergency Solutions Grant. This grant is unfortunately needed in our community with the services of Bright House. They do just thankless work in helping with unfortunately sexually assault and domestic violence victims in our community. This grant is actually what they use as a large portion to fund their day-to-day operations at their shelter house. And so this is an incredibly important grant. And so we have partnered with Bright House for several years now on this grant. And we are requesting to have the council approve and authorize us to be able to submit this grant application on their behalf. Just as a reminder, there are no city funds that are expended on this. There's some staff time, a couple hours a month, where we do have to go through their reimbursements and all of that. Because of that, we do receive 2.5% of the grant award in administrative costs. So that's roughly about, if this grant is awarded for what we have submitted for, it'll be just over $1,000 that we would receive. Those funds go into, just so everybody knows, that goes into an account in the planning department, and we use those funds actually to meet other matching fund requirements for our grants. So we kind of are able to use that administration money to then hopefully go out and be more competitive for other grants. So it's worked very well. We have a pretty nice little cushion that we have saved up that we use, as I said, for those matching funds. So staff wholeheartedly recommends that the mayor sign this application. We think this is an incredibly important grant, and we are honored to partner with Bright House in order to help them with this. And Sue Ray is here if you have any questions. She's the executive director of Bright House, and as I said, I can't speak enough about the great work they do in our community. It's a thankless job, and it's one that unfortunately is needed in our community. So if you have any questions, Sue can help answer those questions as well.
Questions from the council?
I don't have any questions. It seems like a no-brainer.
I got a question for you. During the wintertime, we have the homeless out there on the streets. Do we go to the Bright House to get them somewhere, or is that the Salvation Army, or what?
You want to come up to the podium, Sue?
Thank you. If they are the victims of domestic violence or sexual abuse, and that's at any point, it doesn't have to be recent, then we can try to help them with shelter at our safe shelter, but we don't have room for homeless, plus we're not set up, honestly, to deal with that particular issue, so that's usually back to Noel if they're just homeless.
But no, we do have, Noel takes care of that in the wintertime.
They do for the most part. There are some people who refuse services.
I see.
Yeah, so sometimes you might see people, we work with Noel, and they try really hard to get people into shelter, especially during the worst of the weather.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue, for everything you're doing. Is there a motion on this item?
I motion to accept the 2022-23 Emergency Solution Grant application from Bright House in the amount of $40,855 and authorize the mayor to sign the grant application.
I would second that.
Okay, let's call the roll, please.
Garza?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes, and thank you to our planning department for helping with the administration of this as well. Appreciate that. Next item, please.
Item 8C, consider bid results for Mine Road culvert replacement.
Morning, Council. Jessica Lowe from Engineering Department. Okay. The Grand View Industrial Ditch, or the GVI, collects and conveys stormwater from the city to the Arkansas River. Where the GVI crosses under Mine Road, several culverts have collapsed, requiring the closure of Mine Road. This is the back entrance for the Hutchinson Salt Company, and it's the main entrance for the salt mine for semis that deliver a large portion of the Midwest road de-icing and agricultural salt. The crossing is a critical piece of infrastructure, and it needs to be fixed. The existing culverts are corrugated metal pipes, and they haven't withstood the harsh environment near the salt mine well. So city staff acquired JEO Consulting Group to design a new reinforced box culvert for this crossing, and that RCB will provide a longer life cycle. So this project was bid on May 10th with a base bid for the reinforced concrete box and then an alternate bid for additional corrosion protection over the box. We received 3 bids for the project, and the low bid was received from Claver Construction in the amount of $1,743,341.60. This will be paid by the stormwater utility fee. Staff recommends City Council accept the low bid and the alternate and authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Claver Construction Company in the amount of $1,743,341.60.
Jessica, is this the first time we're working with Claver, or what is your experience?
To my knowledge, yes. Yeah, I believe so.
But can you tell me a little bit about?
Yeah, so there are 3 construction companies that in the state of Kansas that work on reinforced concrete boxes.
Okay.
And they're all the bidders here. Claver and Reese are the biggest, and Meese is a contender as well. Claver is well known through the state of Kansas. They're reputable. They have 7 crews that work on boxes only. So we're excited about them working on this.
Okay, thank you.
Is this the same ditch that drains all the industrial park to the north and it flows down south? Okay.
I believe so, yes.
Further questions or a motion?
I would make a motion to accept the low bid and alternate 1. Sorry, what is the added protection with alternate 1?
So in the base bid, there is some corrosion protection that goes on every box, or in actually most bridges, called a bridge backwall protection system. It's like a sheathing that like a felt sheathing or something that lays out and protects the bridge deck from the de-icing salt that can get in. The alternate was a different type of bridge backwall. It's actually not bridge backwall, but it's like a PVC layer, like a sheet that you can lay down on top of that. It's just that way we get 2 layers of corrosion protection because the environment is corrosive and we have all the salt trucks coming back and forth, just to protect that box. We're also in the base bid. Typically with bridges, you put epoxy coated reinforcing only in the deck and the rest of the bridge gets regular black steel. For this particular bridge, we're putting epoxy coated reinforcing everywhere because we don't want to have to talk about this again. This is going to be hopefully a well-protected structure for the next 75 years.
Okay, I'll restart. I'll move to accept the low bid and alternate 1 from Claver Construction in the amount of $1,743,341.60 and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second that.
Okay, please call the roll.
Garza.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Iris DeGarmo.
Yes, next item, please.
Item 8D, consider consultant agreement for construction services with JEO Consulting Group for the Mine Road culvert replacement.
Okay, well, as mentioned, JEO Consulting Group completed the design for the new Mine Road box culvert. The agreement that you have before you is a contract for construction services with JEO for the same project. With this contract, they'll provide construction inspection, materials testing coordination, and all construction management tasks for the duration of the project. Staff recommends City Council approve the consultant agreement with JEO Consulting Group for construction services in an amount not to exceed $152,770 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Okay.
I have a question on this one.
Yep.
So if JEO Consulting Services is offering the construction services and they're doing inspections and whatnot, does that carry any liability on them if there's issues with this culvert? in a reasonable amount of time?
I'm not sure what the question is.
Well, I mean, if we're hiring someone to make sure the work's being done properly, and it's not done properly, is that who's that? I mean, what are we paying for?
Well, okay.
I'm asking.
That depends on whose negligence it is, because Kansas is a comparative negligence state. And if there's some flaws in the work that they've done, they would be liable.
Okay. That was
Same thing if in the construction stage that it was the part of the company doing the actual construction,
Right.
their liability is carried. But all of that liability is compared.
okay.
Thank you, Paul. I left my law degree at home today.
No, we don't have, basically what there's two parts to this. So what we have on staff, we have a general
Inspection.
knowledge of what needs to be done. This is a specialized knowledge for this particular product, for inspecting it and making sure it's been done properly.
Partially.
Okay.
One of the biggest issues is that we currently have, without this project, we have 14 ongoing construction projects. We have 2 full-time inspectors, 1 seasonal, and 1 consultant. We don't have enough staff to cover this. This is a huge project. It's going to require full-time inspection while the contractor is working. And so we needed someone to do it. JEO has the capability to do that. And since they were the designers, it naturally made sense to go with them.
Okay. Then I would move to approve the consultant agreement with JEO Consulting Group for construction services not to exceed $152,770 and authorize the mayor to sign.
I second that.
Okay, please call the roll.
Garza.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Pyrus de Carvalho.
Yes, next item, please.
Item 8E, consider change order number 1 for the Harsha Canal Bridge repairs.
Okay. The Fifth Avenue Bridge over the Harsha Canal, shown here, is a reinforced concrete bridge that was identified for repairs after our last round of biennial bridge inspections. On November 16, 2021, Council approved award of a contract to PCI Road to perform those repairs. During construction, the extents of the damaged concrete on the underside or underneath portion of the bridge were found to be much greater than initially anticipated. So to protect the integrity of the structure, this damage also needs to be removed and replaced. The original construction contract was in the amount of $254,569.42, and the change order is for $36,883, which is above the 10% allowed without council approval. So the new contract amount would be $291,452.42. This project is funded by the Bridge Maintenance Reserve, which currently has a balance of just over $300,000, so we have the funds to do this. So I recommend that City Council approve the change order for $36,883 and authorize the mayor to sign.
Jessica, this is not commentary on the engineering department. This is something that bothers me immensely with bidding. When we have these change orders, especially in the order of like 12 to 15%, I mean, the reason we go with the lowest bid is because it's the lowest bid, and then you have these huge change orders that put it way over what other bidders in the original RFP would have charged. And I'm not sure how we prevent that, but is there something that could be done either in their requests for proposals or qualifications to mitigate some of those change orders?
Well, this particular change order would have happened whether it were the low bidder or the next highest. So in theory, by accepting the low bid, we accepted a lower bid price for this item, and therefore the change order was less as well. I'll say too, to this item, we'll go back to this picture, we made an estimate based on what we could see. With concrete, once we started removing the damaged concrete, we found extensive removal behind it that you won't know until you get into construction. And so again, this would have happened whether it was PCI or if it was whoever the next low bidder was, I don't recall.
So you can't
one thing that we
anticipate
did
it.
do, I will say, is you may recall the Airport Road Bridge. They did some deck repairs there, and when they got into the deck, they found more extensive damage, and that was a large change order as well. So this time what we did was we chained the deck ahead of time. So it's like a method of sounding the concrete to see where there's bad concrete and where there's good concrete. We paid a very small amount to have that done professionally, and we didn't have a single overage on that. And that is an area where you can have a lot of unknown variables. So by doing that, we save some money there. So I guess to your question, yes, there are things you can do depending on what the issue is, and we did those for this bridge by chaining the deck.
But there are some things you just can't anticipate, and this
Right.
would have happened with any bidders.
So there was something covering up this spalling that wasn't visible before?
It's the condition of the concrete behind what you see. And without us going in and starting to demolish it ourselves, which we don't want to do because we might get in a situation then where we have to fix it right away, or, worst case, maybe it becomes very extensive and we have to close the bridge, which that's not the case here. But we try not to do those kinds of destructive tests until a contractor's on site who is qualified to repair them.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks for the clarification. Further questions or a motion on this change order?
Is this going to set back the project a little bit later?
No.
Okay.
No. The weather might. We're trying to work on the very last piece right now, which is the multi-layer polymer overlay of the deck. That's supposed to happen this week, and if it does, we're hoping to open the bridge at the end of this week.
Wow.
But the MLPO is very picky with temperature application, and so we're just kind of watching the weather to see if we're going to fit in that window. But this is on the underneath side, so it won't affect opening the bridge.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll move
Who's
to
gonna take
approve change order number 1 to the 5th Avenue over the Harsha Canal Bridge repairs contract with PCI Roads LLC for $36,883, bringing the total contract to $291,452.42, and authorize the mayor to sign.
And I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Garza.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Pyrus de Carvalho.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 8F, discussion regarding Woody Seat Avenue B study.
Okay, well, I don't have anything formal for this. I believe at the last meeting, you asked for an update on what a study for the Avenue B, keeping the Avenue B road open would look like. So after that meeting, we started engaging with the consultant who sent us their qualification statement for the previous study. And so we've been talking. We don't have a contract yet, but I did want to let you know what we've heard. As far as schedule, I guess, to start with, if given a notice to proceed, it would take about 5 months to get the final study completed. That does include public engagement, so a couple of meetings with the neighborhood to go over the different options, gather input, and incorporate those that input into their final report. And it would also include a meeting or a council item with you as well. And as far as cost, right now, again, we don't have anything final, but the consultant gave an estimated cost of around $60,000 for this.
So it would be 5 months to complete it before we could even begin any conversations about further design and construction of that area.
If you wanted to wait, yes.
Yeah.
To find out the results of this, yes. About 5 months.
If hypothetically it was told to move forward with, let's say, the roundabout option, would the designer look at an option for keeping B open as they're doing that and be able to rule that out or approve that without actually doing a study?
We could do that concurrently, yes.
Are we going to listen to the results of the study if we drop 60 grand on it? Because sometimes we commission a bunch of expensive studies that we don't listen to because I don't know if we're trying to avoid making decisions or that's just a question I throw out there.
No, it's a good point.
First of all, the city council member for that area is not here, so that's a problem. And I think if we're going to discuss this, we should have the Cecilia and them, who's head of the committee here, let them know that we're going to discuss this and make a decision on 60,000. We're going to go forward with it. At least, I think we should bring it at the next meeting and tell them we need to decide what we're going to do. And I hate to say that because I don't want to. I'm over there with them, and I think they're doing a good thing. But their their council members not here, and they're not here. So, but I know we need to move on. Trust me, I do know that. So at least go to the next meeting and sit them down and tell them what our concerns are. Us dropping $60,000 on something we might not even use. So that's a big issue right there. Put more money into something that we don't know if we're going to even use it. So at least I would ask the council to wait one more meeting till next meeting, so their council person could be there and Cecilia could be here.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Steve, are you okay with that, John?
Yes.
Yeah. Greg, our Councilmember Fast did reach out. He is at the Main Street Conference this week, and I know he feels strongly about that area, as does Councilwoman Bagwell. She has some pretty strong thoughts on this too, so it probably does make sense. I'm sorry, Jessica, that you're going to have to come
okay.
back. And
I guess I could ask the question, though, would you like us to continue to move forward and potentially have a contract for you to review at that meeting? Doesn't mean that you have to approve it, but we would have more answers than I do right now. Right now, it's a maybe, what if type situation.
I think that would be helpful because,
Okay.
again, we could choose not to accept the contract if council doesn't want to move forward, but we would have a lot less of the unknowns.
Okay. Okay, we'll keep working on that.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate
Thank you.
your patience. All right, next item, please.
Item 9, report of city officials.
What do you have, Garza?
Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome you to our chambers, and I know you do a great job. So if
Thank
we
you very
can
much.
help you all, let us know. Okay.
Thank you.
And also, I had some meetings last week, 2 weeks ago, like I said before, with my constituents in my area. And I also had some meetings this last weekend with some citizens. And it's funny where I have meetings at. And I was at the McDonald's getting some breakfast, minding my own business, and 3 citizens approached me, and I was there for 2.5 hours at a McDonald's table, sitting talking to them. And they gave me some information on some stuff that I'm not really to reveal right now, but I just want to let those citizens know I heard them, and they have been heard, and we will get to it and talk about it. So other than that, we have great citizens in here in this Hutchinson, and where we're at a place right now where we're going to start picking a new city manager and all that, and just bear with us and work with us, and we'll get everything, we'll come out just fine.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. What about you, Anderson?
Thank you for making yourself available, for stepping into the role and jumping right into budget season.
Yeah.
As exciting as that sounds.
I'm anxious
appreciate it.
to get started and work with Angela. She does a great job. I've worked with her before. I know she's very much on top of what's going on. So thank you.
That's all I have.
Well, the only thing I had was, again, to echo our gratitude. Gary, I know you could have taken the summer off for a lot more fun, but I guess budgeting might be your jam, so we're glad that it is. I did want to remind the public that we have several open meetings that are not regularly scheduled agenda meetings. These are study sessions dedicated to the budget process. The first one will happen this Thursday at 6 p.m. I believe it's going to be either in council chambers or in this room right behind us. We will have that streaming, or you are welcome to join us. At that meeting, we'll talk about the Municipal Equipment Replacement Fund and our Capital Improvement Projects Fund, or program. So encourage anybody to tune in. Next Tuesday at 3 p.m., we have a second budget session that we'll discuss water and sewer rates at. May 31st at 3 p.m., we'll have our general fund budget study session. And then, of course, again, our next city council meeting on June 7th. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out to your council members, and we look forward to hearing input from the public. With that, I will pass it over to Gary for comments.
Well, I don't have a lot to report, but just say I'm anxious to get going, and we got some meetings set up. Certainly going to work pretty hard on the budget, and because of the hearings or the open study sessions that are open. So we're going to get going on that. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any other business? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right.
Okay, please call the roll.
Garza.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Iris DeCarvalho.
Yes.